Defense Secretary Leon Panetta is warning that the United States could be attacked if the Super Committee doesn't get its act together and keep the Defense Department immune from budget cuts. But didn't Joint Chiefs of Staff Admiral Mike Mullen once admit that the biggest threat to our national security is our ballooning debt? Is Secretary Panetta running a fear campaign, or are his worries legitimate? Here to discuss retired Army Colonel Douglas Macgregor. Colonel Macgregor, always a pleasure. Welcome back to Freedom Watch.
Hi, Judge.
Colonel, is there a dollar-for-dollar correlation between the amount of military spending and the amount of military strength?
No. Unfortunately, that's not been true for a very long time. Look, I think we need to understand that Mr. Panetta is presiding over the Department of Defense, which has a lot in common with the Federal Reserve. You can't audit either of them. Nobody can tell you with precision where all the money goes, and we do know that lots of the money goes to friends of the management. So no, the answer is we absolutely do not translate that money into military power. We've supported the Olympics. We've got all sorts of portions of the defense budget that have nothing to do with military power.
Why is it that members of Congress and the American public have this false view that we have to support management's favorite manufacturers because, God forbid, we should cut money to the military? It might let the bad guys attack us.
Well, first of all, there's no existential military threat to the United States today. There's no one out there who, frankly, is interested in attacking us directly, that is, as a nation state. And the terrorist threat has always been much exaggerated, and it could be handled, quite frankly, by securing our borders and tightening up on immigration, legal and illegal. And I think some of that is happening, just not enough. But the truth is that we don't have a serious threat out there, and unfortunately, defense spending, to a large extent, is treated by members of the House and the Senate as a way to redistribute income. So you redistribute income to your constituents. That income goes through many of the large defense corporations and some of the small ones to preserve employment, to cultivate prosperity in places where it might not otherwise exist. But much of that spending, frankly, is not needed.
Colonel Macgregor, your career, United States Army, your West Point, your PhD in political science and political theory. Answer me this, please. Why do we need to be in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in Libya, in Yemen, in Uganda? And why do we need 900 permanent military installations around the world on which the sun never sets?
Well, the answer is we don't. But since 1991, for the last 20 years, we've had a very tight consensus inside the Beltway on the left and the right, a cabal of neo-Wilsonian interventionists convinced that the world will only be safe when we rule most of it. And so they have supported what amounts to military hegemony by the United States everywhere. It's driving us bankrupt. We're broke. We can't afford it. We don't need it. And quite frankly, we would profit from getting out of most of these places for two reasons. First of all, the threats would actually recede because our very presence in many places is unwanted. And secondly, many of the nations that we've been protecting, Japan, Korea, Southeast Asia, all the way to Norway, Central Europe, Southern Europe, would have to invest the money to protect themselves. And by the way, they can afford it. We don't need to pay it for them.
Colonel Macgregor, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Judge.
I'll tell you why Congress can't agree.